Big win for the Celtics tonight as they take Game 3 over the Brooklyn Nets. We'll talk about it all here on today's video. But first, this is why you subscribe. You see the link below, youtube.com/CelticsTV. Hit that big red button. Share that link with a friend because, hey, we're going to have coverage throughout the postseason. And once the playoffs are over, we don't go away. Videos all off season long. So go ahead and subscribe. And, hey, let's talk about a big win here on Friday night. Welcome into Boston Celtics Today. I am your host, Harrison Graham, and hey, the Celtics bounce back. They get it done in Game 3 over the Brooklyn Nets. Let's break it down for the next several minutes here on today's show. A 125-119 over Brooklyn. Nets lead the series 2-1. And who saw this coming after the Nets got out to a 19-4 run to start the game? It felt like curtains. It felt like the offseason was on the horizon, but instead, the Celtics bounce back due to a 50-piece from Jayson Tatum. We will certainly talk about him on today's post-game recap as well. And hey, you don't want to get swept. This is a good performance from Boston, and Game 4 is on Sunday night. Very, very good night for the Boston Celtics. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of what happened into this game, what is your one-word reaction to the Celtics' Game 3 performance and victory over the Brooklyn Nets? I think there's a lot of good words. You could say pride. You could say Tatum. You could say heart. You could say anything you want. What is your one-word reaction to this Celtics Game 3 win and performance over Brooklyn? Go ahead and let me know what you guys think. My one word is heart. My second word would have been pride. Hey, you get down 19-4. You've got the excuse of Jaylen Brown not playing in this series. You could have folded, right? You could have lost this game by 30 points and tried to avoid the sweep on Sunday. You know what happened, though? Brad Stevens took a timeout, and the Celtics showed heart, and they started to fight back. They scratched, they clawed, they got the lead, I believe, by halftime, and really never looked back. They took control of this game and held off a rally from the Nets in the fourth quarter. We can't say enough about Jayson Tatum. You just can't. You drop a 50-piece when the other team knows you're really the only guy who's capable of doing that, and you still pull it off. 50 points, 16 of 30 from the field. Oh, and by the way, he was the best playmaker for the Celtics as well. Dished out 7 assists, 6 rebounds as well. Jayson Tatum did it all. He played some good defense. You know why the Celtics won this game? Because he was the best player in this game. Jayson Tatum is your MVP for game number 3. Had to leave game 2 early with an injury, comes back, plays tonight, and hey, he put on an all-time performance. I think only 4 or 5 other players in Celtics history have had a 50-piece or more in the postseason. Isaiah Thomas had a 53-point game just a few years ago, but Tatum joins some legends in doing so in the playoffs. Kudos to Jayson Tatum carrying the Boston Celtics in this game. So will Jayson Tatum win an MVP in his career? We said he was the MVP for tonight. This is one of the top young players in the league. I want to know from you Celtics fans, do you believe that Tatum will win an MVP during his NBA career? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Go ahead and get your votes in on this one. Now we talk about Tristan Thompson. He was an X factor in this game. 19 points, 13 rebounds. I believe 9 of those rebounds were off the offensive glass, which is really the best part of his game. I thought he was a major, major difference maker tonight, especially if you factor in that Kemba Walker didn't play that well tonight. Sure, he rebounded, played some defense, but they needed Thompson's offense. Tatum can't do it all on his own, so for him to clean up and get some second chance points and clear the glass, I thought he was a big factor in this game as the Celtics win Game 3, 125-119. Again, the Nets lead the series 2-1, but so far, the home teams have won games in this series between Brooklyn and Boston. So you look at the Nets side of things, the big three, well, the two main guys, we'll talk about Kyrie a little more in a second, Durant and Harden, they were pretty good. They were pretty phenomenal in this matchup. Harden scores 41 points. Kevin Durant has 39. They combined for 80 in this game against the Boston Celtics. Kyrie, not so good. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. We'll focus more on him because a lot of hoopla coming into this game. Obviously, Kyrie left Boston as both sides were not happy on how things turned out. He got booed a lot by the Boston faithful in this game. He seemed rattled to me. Kyrie Irving seemed a little bit rattled in this game from the jump, and he just never really got things going. Went 6 of 17 from the floor, only had 16 points. A lot of that had to happen at the free throw line, and he just never really got his footing in this game, and he'll have to turn it around for Game 4 for Brooklyn to get back on track, because Boston was in his head, the fans were in his head, and by the way, 17,000 fans expected to be in Game 4 after only about 5,500 were in the stadium for Game number 3. Game 4 set to take place on Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central, as the Nets take a fall to a 2-1 series lead. They won the first two. Boston wins tonight, 125 to 119. Now, the obvious answer would be Brooklyn, but hey, I was impressed by the Celtics tonight. Who's going to take this series? Type BOS for the Boston Celtics, type BKN for the Brooklyn Nets. Get your votes in on this one. Who will win this best-of-7 series between the Nets and the Celtics? Want to remind you guys to subscribe to Boston Celtics Today, because we're going to break down every playoff game until the series is over. And if they win this series, hey, we'll keep it going in the second round and throughout the playoffs. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't miss a single video here on Boston Celtics Today. Welcome into Celtics Today. I'm Harrison Graham. Celtics versus Nets Game 4 preview on tap for you guys after Boston was able to win Game 3 on Friday night. So we've got a series. It's always a series until a road team wins. Game 4, stage is set as the Nets lead this series 2-1. This will be Sunday, May 30th, 7 o'clock Eastern Time in Boston. Expected over 17,000 fans at the TD Garden as Massachusetts is lifting its COVID-19 restrictions in a lot of ways. So almost a full sold-out crowd expected on tap for Sunday night. You know that crowd's going to be rocking as these two teams tee it up in this matchup. So Sunday night, game is set. Let's kind of recap and see what got us to this point as we recap the game so far. Game 1, the Nets were able to take it 104 to 93. Celtics fought hard early, but ultimately the more talented team was able to pull away. Game 2, yeah, it was a bloodbath. Nets controlled the game from start to finish. They were able to win 130 to 108. Kevin Durant, Joe Harris had a big game in that one. Remember, that was the game Jayson Tatum had to leave after getting his eye poked in that one. And then in Game 3, Boston, 125-119. They erase a 19-4 deficit to get back into this series. And now Game 4 is set for Sunday night. I got to tell you, I was very impressed with the Celtics in Game 3. This team could have folded. This team could have quit. You go down 19-4, and you know you're undermatched without your number 2 guy in Jaylen Brown. You're facing the big 3 in Brooklyn. You're like, this game's over, right? Like, I was telling producer Jack, I was like, we might as well film this video now. No. They bounced back. They were able to rally in a major way. Jayson Tatum, of course, will need to keep this up if the Celtics are going to have a chance of pulling the upset in this 7-game series. 50 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 16 of 30 from the floor. Hit tough shot after tough shot. The Nets started bringing double teams. It didn't matter. He was phenomenal in Game 3, and guess what? We're going to need to see more of the same in Game 4 if they're going to pull this off. Grade Tatum's play so far this series, it's a bit incomplete because remember Game 2, he left early. A, B, C, D, or F. Get your grades in on this one. Hey, I'm still going to give him an A. You drop 50 points as an underdog, I'm giving an A grade for Jayson Tatum. Now that being said, as we look forward to Game 4 and moving forward, Jayson Tatum is going to need help. You just can't expect him to drop 50 every night. Now, you need 35 plus from him, but he needs more scoring from some of these other guys. He got a little bit in Game 3. He's going to need more in Game 4 moving forward, assuming he doesn't drop 50 the rest of this series. I'm looking at 3 guys in particular. Kemba Walker, he stunk in Game 3. Grabbed some rebounds, got some critical defensive stops, but he's got to score more than he was able to on Friday night. Marcus Smart, he's got to continue to play well. Hit 5 threes in Game 3. He's got to continue to be a floor spacer and hit some shots offensively, especially without Jaylen Brown. And Evan Fournier, who quietly had a 16-point game in Game number 3, you need him to be a 15, 20-point scorer as well. If these 3 guys can give you, 14 to 17 points apiece while Tatum's giving you 30, 35. I'm not saying you're going to pull the upset. I'm saying that at least gives you a chance if those things can happen. So couple of notes right there if Boston's able to win Game 4 and put some pressure on the Nets in Game number 5, because that's really all you can ask, is to get back to Brooklyn 2-all and see if this big three of Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and, of course, James Harden feel the pressure in Game number 5 back in Brooklyn. But before you do that, you got to win Game 4. Predict the score for me. The stage is set. Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Game 4 on Sunday night from a rockin' TD Garden in Boston. I cannot wait for this one. Get your score predictions right now in the comment section. If you're asking me and if you're wanting me to be objective and not a biased host, I'm going to go with Brooklyn. Look, they've been the more talented they're the more talented team. They've been the more consistent team. I'm just not going to bank on Jayson Tatum to score 50 points every single night. So I'm going to go with Brooklyn 108-97. I think they win Game number 4 and take a 3-1 series lead back to Brooklyn. I hope I'm wrong. Either way, we'll break down Game 4 right here on Boston Celtics Today.